Tracy, the market's traded gasoline up 7 sessions in a row. I'm assuming that it's not anticipating that we're going to get a quick recovery or a quick reopening, a kind of back to business as normal as a result of this second hit that's coming through from Harvey.
Yeah, well, let me walk you through the kind of disruptions that we've seen so far, because I think that will answer some of your question. Those disruptions are really coming about through two ways right now. You have the basic outages primarily in refiners that are happening as the refiners either get flooded or because their employees can't actually get to work. But you also have energy infrastructure, especially the pipelines that are affected now. And one example of that, we've seen Marathon Petroleum's refinery in Galveston, Texas, said to be considering shutting down because it can't actually get the crude that it normally sources from pipelines operated by Magellan Midstream Partners. Those shut down on Sunday. Now, in terms of the estimates for how much refining capacity has been affected, we saw Platts say 12% of total U.S. capacity was down on the weekend. They since upped that number to 18% yesterday. But we are getting estimates that are even higher than that as Harvey comes in for the second hit. And remember, the second hit on the U.S. coast is going to be squarely aimed at the sort of refinery hubs of Beaumont, Louisiana, and Port Arthur, Texas. And that's why we're seeing some estimates saying that as much as 30% of refining capacity could end up being impacted. And in particular, you mentioned Motiva's refiner in Port Arthur. That is, of course, the biggest in the U.S. That's also when we start to get the cascade effect, because if all the refiners are shut, well, even if you're an oil company in, say, West Texas, that means you have nowhere to ship your oil, essentially.
First of all, I want to promo, Tracy, Hurricane Go. Bloomberg users can just type in HURR Go and get a great look at what's going on in the area, or indeed all around the globe as far as big storms are concerned. In Houston, Tracy, you talked to us yesterday about why WTI had actually fallen. So crude is coming down again today. Gas prices continue to soar. Is this because of the refinery issue only going to affect gas prices, or does anybody expect it to start affecting crude prices?
Yeah, so most of the action, as you rightly point out, has been in gas. We have gas down again for the 7th straight day today, but we are seeing some weakness come through in WTI. And Matt, I think when I spoke to you yesterday, WTI was actually up slightly. It's falling today. We are seeing the discount between WTI and Brent also falling. But interestingly, even Brent is coming under pressure now, which really speaks to, I guess, the size of the chunk of potential demand that's being taken out of the market right now. And on that note, also, this is starting to develop into a macro story. We have a lot of economists talking, for instance, about the impact of higher gas prices on U.S. inflation. Remember that motor fuel is something like 3.3% of the U.S. CPI basket. So the question there is going to be whether this leads to a temporary spike in inflation or whether the damage is so permanent that it ends up being something longer lasting all the way through to U.S. inflation. Guy?